Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Alvin of Alvin Inc., and I have an inkling that you're wondering, what is cottagecore? Well, today that's exactly what we're going to explore. So pull up a seat, grab a warm cup of tea, and follow me into the calm and lax world of cottagecore. Let's start with the basics and define what cottagecore is. Cottagecore is an aesthetic that's very similar to life out in the country. It focuses on nature and rustic design and utilizes colors like brown, green, cream, and white. But on occasion, you'll also see splashes of other colors like yellow, blue, and pink. In Animal Crossing, cottagecore is a design style that players use as a guide when designing their islands. Think of cottagecore as like a comfort core. The idea is to create an island that embodies rural simplicity and a relaxing, nature-focused setting. That all being said, it's important to also keep in mind that there are very few hard-set rules for any style of island design. Alright, so now that we have a solid understanding of what cottagecore is, let's dig a little deeper. I'm going to show you 4 of my favorite cottagecore themed islands, and we'll explore their similarities and differences. The key aspects of island design that we'll be focusing on are terraforming, common items and types of areas on cottagecore islands, often used custom design codes, and which Animal Crossing villagers are most common for cottagecore themed islands. Let's start off with focusing on terraforming. The islands that we'll be looking at today are called Blue Bayou, Gaspe, BlossomBay, and Mialand. I'll put the dream addresses in the description if you want to visit any of these islands for yourself. Right off the bat, as you look at these 4 different maps, what stands out to you? The first thing that I notice is that most of the villagers' houses and the shops are pretty spread out. There aren't really any areas that I would call a proper neighborhood. And when we look at the water terraforming, we can see that large lakes are pretty common. Most of the rivers seem relatively narrow, and the waterfalls are kept mostly small and simple. Any islands that are terraformed onto the islands are usually on the larger side, and there aren't as many little mini islands as what you might find on a fairy core island, where it's very common to have lots of small islands and little stepping stones through the water. With regards to the land terraforming, there's a good mix of narrow passageways and some larger, more open spaces. The ground on pretty much all of these islands is speckled with small ledges on the 3rd level, and most of the usable space is kept to the first 2 levels. The land is formed into lots of odd-looking shapes and very curved organic designs, and there seems to be a lot of spaces that just sort of flow into each other. We can see that there's definitely a really strong focus on nature across all of these islands. Now we're going to talk about a lot of common items and spaces that are used for cottagecore designs. Let me know which designs you're most excited to make on your own island. First up, little tea and sitting areas are very common on cottagecore islands. They're a great way to fill in smaller spaces and add a strong sense of coziness to the island. These spaces are usually filled with brown wood items and antique furniture, and it's common to use teacups and coffee mugs, cakes, the mom tea cozy item, and coffee grinders in these designs. Outdoor libraries are also super common. Use pretty much any book DIY, especially the large bookcases. Throw in a record player, a cozy sofa to sit on, a warm fire, and lots of plants, and you really can't go wrong with a library. Gardens are also pretty much on every cottagecore themed island, and this is a really good way to get creative. I've seen strawberry gardens made from red flowers with the flowers plucked, watermelon gardens made from the watermelon-looking beach balls. I've seen vineyards with grape hats. Mushroom gardens are pretty popular as well. You can just drop them on the ground and it looks pretty good. So try out any garden designs that you can think of, and most times it'll work out pretty well. One design that really impressed me is to make little post offices. You can find designs for cushions and make them into little bags full of letters. You can incorporate your mailbox into the design. Throw in a clock or scattered papers, or use simple panels to create little P.O. boxes. I've seen some really impressive post office designs on cottagecore islands. Oh, and stargazing, that's another really common feature as well. You can put up a telescope, place down a custom coat blanket, and scatter around a few star fragments. Or you could sit on a crescent moon chair or place down a sleeping bag and a lantern with pine cones and acorns scattered all around. You can make them as complicated or as simple as you want, and they usually work out really well. Clothes washing areas are a staple on Cottagecore Islands. Use the wooden clotheslines, wash buckets, place down some slippers, or you can use proper washing machines and ironing boards with changing rooms, or throw in a spinning wheel and a water spout with a coat rack. There's a lot of diversity with these designs. The last little bit that I'll say about decorating spaces on a Cottagecore Island is to make spaces that make you feel relaxed and comfortable. Barns are common with little pumpkin patches, tree farms are great and festive for the winter season, greenhouses work too. One design that I love from BlossomBay is this outdoor movie theater. Definitely not wholly aligned with the rustic theme of Cottagecore, but that's the fun of adding your own unique flair to your island theme. You can make whatever you want. Let's talk about custom designs. I feel like finding good custom designs tends to be time-consuming and can get pretty complicated. So I've compiled a bunch of custom designs for items, blankets, pathing, and clothing that I really enjoy, and I think fit perfectly with the Cottagecore theme. Let's begin with pathing. The most common types of pathing designs that you're likely to use would be forestry versions of the path or stone pathing. Here are some codes from the pathing designs that I found. This pathing has a really nice cool tone for it, which is great for autumn. This is a really nice brown cobblestone path if you want part of your island to still feel a bit urban. And this is a really beautiful stone path that works really well if you're still playing during winter. Also, I'm putting all of the custom codes that I share with you in the description so you can find them there as well. Now, let's look at some decorative ground codes. I really love this beautiful flower blanket design, one of my favorite that I've seen so far. This is like a flower weed design, which I really like. That deep green color just really draws me in. This is a really nice dark wooden plank design, which is great for trails through narrow passageways. This fallen leaves code I think is an absolute must for autumn Cottagecore Islands. Here's a code for a little puddle in case you want to splash some water around your island. The last batch of codes that I'll share with you are clothing designs. I love this whole batch of clothes. I think that the coloring in all of them is really nice, and the clothes just scream comfort to me. This bee cardigan is so nice with the warm yellow tone and the little beads in the pockets. I think it's so cute. I'm a sucker for sweaters and bears, so I find this sweater to be amazing. This is the last of the custom designs, a beautiful geometric cardigan. Now it's time for us to discuss my favorite part of Cottagecore, the villagers. To get a good overview of Cottagecore villagers, let's take a look at the villagers from the 4 islands we've seen. The most commonly shared villagers from these islands seem to be Maple, Fauna, Marshall, and Eric. These are all very iconic Cottagecore villagers. We also see Molly relatively consistently, who is popular in her own right. What these villagers have in common is mostly a brown and white color scheme, and they're based on animals that would very commonly be seen in the forest. So, aside from the icons, which other villagers are perfect matches for a Cottagecore themed island? Let's find out. To recap, the general criteria for a great Cottagecore villager is that they have to be based on a species that is commonly found in forests. They're usually not really bright in color, and honestly, I think that's pretty much it. So here are my picks. Blair screams Cottagecore to me. She's an adorable squirrel with really soft colors, and her house gives me lake house vibes, which is perfect for Cottagecore. Fang is my favorite wolf villager, and I think he's perfect for Cottagecore. He's got this light gray fur. I think he has this little sassy look to him, and I just adore him because he's a Sagittarius just like me. I think Bones fits in pretty well as well. He's got this little brown spot over his eye. He's an adorable little puppy, and I can see him being really good friends with Marshall, so they can be Cottagecore pals together. The last villager that I'll mention is a little unconventional, but something about him is just so Cottagecore to me. Leopold. He reminds me of a librarian, and I think he's just a perfect fit for Cottagecore. I know that lions aren't really common to forests, But I just picture Leopold sitting by a river, reading a book, and that's like exactly what cottagecore is. Just taking life easy, doing simple activities that you enjoy, and living in the moment in harmony with nature. So Leopold is a top cottagecore contender in my book. Alright, so the last thing that we need to touch on is Cottagecore right for you? Well, let's find out. Cottagecore is about comfort, living in a quiet, simple life attuned to nature. On a cottagecore island, you'll focus on the little things that help you to feel warm and fuzzy inside. It's about finding harmony within yourself and within the small part of the world that you call home. Do you love nature and going out into the woods? Do you often find yourself hauling your laundry out to the beach and drying your clothes in the crisp sea air? Do you want to experience and craft an island focused on simplicity and ethereal peace? If so, then cottagecore is simply perfect for you, and I encourage you to try your hand at it. Regardless of what you choose to do with your island, just remember to have fun with it and to make what you want. Enjoy the journey. Thank you so much for joining me today to learn about cottagecore. I hope that I was able to offer you some useful information and help you to better understand how you want to design your own island. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like and to subscribe to the channel. It means the world to me when you do. Until next time, bye!